Yeah, we want to know the importance of the meeting that you're holding today.
Good morning, and thanks very much for being with me. I'm going to be a speaker, an ad hoc speaker today, to mark the 37th anniversary of Angola's independence, to underscore the friendly and cordial relationships between Angola and Zambia, and the role that the peaceful two countries of Southern Africa can play in promoting sustainable development. I will make mention of the possible strategic role that the private sector of Zambia and Angola can play in bringing the two countries together. That's, in essence, what I'm going to speak about.
All right. Let's talk about the issue to do with the private sector here. How can they help develop the two countries?
Okay. You see, both Angola and Zambia are members of SADC, the community in which I am the Deputy Executive Secretary. Both Angola and Zambia are currently, as governments, participating in a lot of joint programs: infrastructure development, trade, agriculture, social and human development, and all the other economic spheres that are of relevance. But so far, the political will of government, of the two governments, is not sufficient to take us to our desired goal. And the desired goal is to see intra-Zambia-Angola trade, for example. The desired goal is to see the people of the two countries cooperating, communicating. Why? Because governments do not have all the resources that such grand projects require. Hence, the private sector. The private sector does business. And normally, the private sector likes to deliver. Hence, to me, I think the role of the two governments is to bring frameworks that will entice or attract private sector investment in both Zambia and Angola. That's how they will play the role.
All right. Now let's talk about the Lobito corridor development.
Yes.
How important is this rail line to the SADC region?
Those of you who are probably young will not know the role of Lobito and the Benguela Railway and the Lobito port to the economy of Zambia. But myself, I do. You know that before the liberation war in Angola, the port of Lobito was the nearest natural port of Zambia's access to the Western markets. Just to say, this is how important it is. And that is why, with the advent of peace, with the advent of political stability in Angola, the government of Angola has prioritized infrastructure development, multifaceted infrastructure development, port management, railway rehabilitation and interconnectivity, road improvements to connect and to bring back the important role that the Lobito corridor can play in Zambia's economy. It is still Zambia's nearest port to the Western markets. There are ports on the eastern part of the African continent. For example, Durban, Beira, Dar es Salaam, and now we are going to open another port in Mozambique, Nacala, which is just, if you go to Kapirimposhi through the right, or Kapirimposhi or even Lusaka, you can go via Eastern Province into Malawi, into Nacala. It's also another natural port. But still, Lobito is the nearest port for Zambia to access the Western markets.
So you are seeing a trade improved with if this Lobito corridor is revamped, we're seeing an increase in trade activities.
Precisely. Because you don't know me, I came to Zambia in 1967. Those days, some of the imports that Zambia actually used to have at the time of independence used to come from Benguela, from Lobito, like dried fish, like salt, like canned fish, even cod fish. We call it in Portuguese bacalhau. Cod fish used to come from Angola.
So then what role should the Zambian government play in ensuring that this Lobito corridor is as effective as possible?
I have actually sat with the two ministers responsible for transport of the two governments, and I have underscored the role that the two governments can play. The Zambian government is a government that can play its part, either by way of fast-tracking the interconnectivity of the Zambian part. For example, if Angola brought the railway line to Leawo, which is the border point with DRC, if the Zambian government, for example, could play its part by, for example, saying they are prepared, say, to have a junction from Leawo via Kazombo through Jimbe, and then we are in the northwestern province. In the northwestern province, we have the Lumwana mine, copper mine, which is one of the strategic economic facilities, but look at its interconnectivity to the nearest markets. So to me, that is the role that the Zambian government can play by way of, in its own budget, in its own national development program, prioritizing the interconnectivity either by rail, by road, with Angola, through the nearest points. I can go on to mention another strategic corridor which Angola and Zambia can mutually benefit. The corridor of Namibia, down south. It can come through Menonga and through the western province to Lusaka, just as the Yugoslavians constructed the road from Lusaka to western province. There is a lot of synergy that the two countries can benefit from if they work together. That is my message on the eve of Angola's independence.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure, ma'am.